Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, we like to take your sources and pull out the most fascinating bits.
That's right.
And today,
Yeah.
we got something, especially for you, Dr. Lang,
We do.
since we know you spend some time over at Tractor Supply.
Yeah, we know you work with Kohler products, and we've been digging into some news that might make you look at those engines a little differently.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Kohler, the name,
Yeah.
might be on its way out,
That's right.
replaced by Railco.
Yeah.
Kind of a head-scratcher, right?
It definitely caught our AI attention. Yeah. Kohler's been sold to an investment firm, Platinum Equity, and they're rebranding the engine division.
Now you're probably thinking, Kohler? Like the faucets?
Right.
Well, yeah, but they've also been making engines for over a century.
A long time.
Everything from those small engines on lawnmowers to the big guys powering generators.
Yeah. And they've got quite a history.
Yeah.
Founded back in 1873.
Wow.
Starting with farm equipment. And get this, their first bathroom product was a bathtub, originally used for scalding hogs.
Hold on for real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Gotta file that one away for later.
That's a good one.
But back to the engines.
Right.
We dug up some info on their KD series.
Okay.
And it turns out those Kohler diesel engines are already designed with sustainability in mind.
Exactly. They can actually run on vegetable oil, in addition to regular diesel.
Wow.
Yeah. Seems Platinum Equity is really interested in Kohler's push into hydrogen engines, too. They've even partnered with Toyota on this.
Yeah, the KDH model, Kohler diesel hydrogen, practically runs on water, with water vapor being the main emission.
It's amazing.
Pretty wild, right?
See, it's a big step towards zero-emission technology.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what does this sale and shift towards industrial generators and hydrogen power mean for the smaller engines you see at Tractor Supply?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
Will Railco continue that line? Will parts become harder to find? We're going to break down all those angles for you, Dr. Lang.
We've been combing through reports and projections, and I think you'll find the future of those Kohler engines is more interesting than you might expect.
All right, let's dive deeper. First up, we'll tackle the details of the sale itself. Then we'll analyze what it could mean for different engine types.
Sounds good.
Buckle up.
So we've established that Platinum Equity is interested in Kohler's foray into hydrogen-powered engines.
Right.
But what does that really mean for the average consumer?
Yeah.
Or even for you, Dr. Lang, at Tractor Supply?
Right, because those KDH engines, as cool as they are, aren't exactly powering lawnmowers yet.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
This shift towards hydrogen could have ripple effects throughout the whole engine market.
Exactly. Think about it. If Kohler, or Railco, as we should call them now, is successful with these hydrogen engines in the industrial sector, it could drive down the cost of the technology overall.
And that could make it more feasible to eventually use hydrogen in smaller engines, like the ones we see on tractors and other equipment. That would be a game changer for places like Tractor Supply.
Imagine a tractor that runs almost silently and produces nothing but water vapor. It could be a huge selling point for environmentally conscious farmers and businesses.
And speaking of Tractor Supply,
Right.
let's talk about parts.
Okay.
That's probably top of mind for you, Dr. Lang. The good news is, in the short term, things shouldn't change too drastically.
Right. Existing contracts with unions guarantee continued production at Kohler factories for at least a few years. So parts for your existing Kohler engines should still be readily available.
But long term,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a question mark. It really depends on whether Railco decides to continue investing in the smaller engine lines.
If they choose to focus solely on the industrial side, we could see a gradual phasing out of those smaller Kohler engines. Parts might become harder to find, and eventually you might see different brands dominating the shelves at Tractor Supply.
It's worth thinking about, Dr. Lang. If you're looking at new equipment with a Kohler engine, it might be worth asking about long-term parts, service availability.
And this brings up another point, the brand name itself.
Oh,
Railco just doesn't have the same ring to it as Kohler, does it? Will customers trust a brand they've never heard of?
that's a great point. Brand recognition is huge, especially in a market like tractors and outdoor power equipment. Kohler has a reputation for reliability built over decades. It'll be interesting to see if Railco can establish that same level of trust.
And let's not forget about competition. There are already other big players in the engine market like Briggs and Stratton and Honda. If Railco drops the ball on the smaller engines, those competitors will be ready to swoop in.
It's a fascinating situation to watch unfold. We're talking about a company with over a century of history undergoing a major transformation.
And the implications go far beyond just changing a name. We could be seeing a shift in the entire landscape of engine technology and who the major players are.
All right, so we've talked about the potential impacts on the smaller engines, but let's circle back to those hydrogen-powered behemoths.
Right.
They're clearly a big part of why Platinum Equity was interested in Kohler.
Absolutely. These industrial generators are crucial for things like hospitals, data centers, and even entire communities.
And the potential for hydrogen to power them cleanly and efficiently is huge.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where we can keep the lights on during a power outage without relying on fossil fuels.
And let's not forget about disaster relief. Being able to deploy clean, quiet generators to disaster areas could be a game changer. No more worries about fuel shortages or polluting the environment when people are already vulnerable.
This is where that partnership with Toyota comes into play. They're bringing their expertise in fuel cell technology and hybrid systems to the table.
Combining that with Kohler's or Railco's engine know-how could lead to some truly groundbreaking innovations. We could be looking at a future where hydrogen-powered generators are the norm, not the exception.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think about, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
There's still challenges to overcome.
Right. The infrastructure for producing and distributing hydrogen isn't quite there yet, and the cost of the technology needs to come down to make it more accessible.
But hey, Kohler was making bathtubs for hogs 100 years ago, and now they're on the cutting edge of sustainable engine technology, so who knows what the future holds.
That's the spirit, and it's exactly why we do what we do here at the Deep Dive. We're all about exploring these complex issues and helping you make sense of the ever-changing world around us.
Exactly. And we're not done yet, Dr. Lang. There's one more piece of this puzzle. We need to examine the rebranding itself. Why ditch the iconic Kohler name for something like Railco?
It might seem like a small detail, but we think there's more to it than meets the eye. After a quick break, we'll delve into the possible reasons behind this name change and what it could signal about Railco's future direction.
All right, Dr. Lang, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the sale itself to the potential impacts on those small engines you see every day at Tractor Supply, and even the wild world of hydrogen power generators.
It's been quite a journey.
But before we wrap things up,
Yeah.
there's one last piece of the puzzle. We want to examine that name change.
Right.
From Kohler to Railco.
It might seem like a minor detail,
Yeah.
but we think there's more to it than meets the eye.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Kohler is a name that's been synonymous with quality and reliability for over a century.
Right.
Why walk away from that?
Exactly. It's a
Eh,
bold move and makes you wonder what Railco is trying to achieve with this rebranding.
Yeah.
We've got a few theories based on our analysis of the data.
Okay, lay 'em on me.
Well, the first theory is that they want to create a clean break from the past. The Kohler name is heavily associated with plumbing,
Uh-huh.
and Railco might want to distance themselves from that and establish a separate identity focused solely on engines and power solutions.
Makes sense. They're clearly making a big push into new technology with the hydrogen engines.
Right.
And maybe they feel like the Kohler name is holding them back, or at least not quite the right fit for this new direction.
Yeah, and then there's the possibility that they're trying to appeal to a younger, more tech-savvy audience.
Okay.
Railco, while not as established as Kohler,
Right.
does have a more modern and maybe even a bit edgy feel to it.
Yeah.
It might resonate better with a generation that's more focused on sustainability and innovation.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to signal that they're not your grandpa's engine company anymore.
Exactly.
They're pushing the boundaries, embracing new technologies,
Right.
and they want a name that reflects that.
And here's another interesting angle.
Okay.
The name Railco itself,
Uh-huh.
it evokes images of railroads, transportation, logistics.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're hinting at their vision for the future. A future where their engines are powering not just individual machines, but entire systems networks, maybe even the infrastructure that keeps our modern world running.
It's a fascinating possibility, and it speaks to the bigger picture we're seeing here. This
Yeah.
isn't just about one company changing its name. It's about a whole industry being disrupted and new players emerging with bold ideas and a willingness to shake things up.
And that's what we love about doing.
Yeah.
The deep dive, digging beneath the surface, connecting the dots, and exploring the forces that are shaping our world. We may not have all the answers, but hopefully we've given you, Dr. Lang, and all our listeners some food for thought.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing we want you to take away from this deep dive, it's this.
What's that?
Stay curious. Keep asking questions. The world is changing faster than ever, and it's up to all of us to stay informed and engaged.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And if you want to keep learning and exploring with us, make sure to check out our website and consider supporting us on GoFundMe. The links are in the show notes.
Your contributions help us keep the deep dive going and allow us to dive even deeper into the topics that matter.
Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep exploring.